Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Cyrus, and in today's video I'm going to be reacting to the Do All Transgender People Think the Same from the Jubilee YouTube channel. I actually saw this video a while back and I was, playing along, answering the questions in my head. And then I actually saw another transgender YouTuber reacting to this video. Her name is Samantha Lux, so I'd just like to give some credit to her. That's kind of how I got the idea to do a reaction to the video myself. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Before we get into this video, I just want to thank everybody who has subscribed to my channel so far. I want to thank everybody who's watched my videos. It really does mean a lot to me and I really appreciate it. If you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed and you want to be, well, do it. So let's jump straight into this video. So how it works, guys, is they ask this group of transgender people a question and then they decide whether they strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, somewhat agree, and strongly agree. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's like six choices there.
Children are capable of understanding their gender identity. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I would strongly agree. When I was a child, I always felt like a girl. And I never knew there was such thing as transgender. I didn't know anything about it. I never met a transgender person, seen a transgender person. I literally thought, having these feelings, that I was the only person in the world. It was really scary, and as a child, I kind of just pushed these thoughts to the back of my head. When I was a kid, I could kind of ignore it a bit more, but I always knew that I wanted to be a girl, and, and I felt like a girl, but I just didn't, like I said, I didn't know there was other people out there like me, and I didn't know it was like, an actual medical thing. So I didn't know that anything could be done about it. So I just kind of pushed it to the back of my head. And when I really started researching it and found out that it had a name, transgender, I started researching it as a teenager, around like 15, 16. And the reason I did that is because I hit puberty, and the physical changes of puberty were just too much for me to bear. That is when it really came to the forefront of my mind. And that's when I started doing a bit of research, and that's when I realised that it had a name and that something could be done about it. And I think I've said this in another video, but that was like the best day ever and the worst day ever. The best because, I just discovered that I'm not the only person I'm not the only person like this, and something can be done about it. I can actually make my body match how I feel inside. And the worst day ever because I just knew the struggle I had ahead of me, and, it really does affect your life, and it's not the life I'd have chosen for myself at that time, although now I wouldn't change it because I'm proud to be transgender, and I'm proud to be part of the LGBTQ plus community, so there. I'm joking. Anyway, I'm joking about the clique, not what I just said. So let's see how they responded.
Yeah, I know when I was 7, I knew. But at the time, it was a few years ago, and there really wasn't any source of information available. But I knew there was something different about me. So kids know young, and we need to not necessarily say, okay, switch everything over right now, but we need to give them space to grow and understand what it is.
Gender roles are necessary. 3, 2, 1, go.
I would disagree. The reason I'm not strongly disagreeing is because the one positive for me that has come out of, gender roles is, realising that I was in the wrong one. Gender roles have caused me a lot of distress and discomfort. And I think the world would be a better place if they weren't so strict and rigid. I just think they do more harm than good, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Let's see the responses from this group of people.
Go.
Gender norms and gender constructs, like, growing up, they hurt me. They were like, you're a boy, you can't like dress up, you can't play with dolls. That just like made me like start to think that I wasn't made correctly or I wasn't right.
My view on gender roles as a whole is very based on my identity because like I'm non-binary. There's no like non-binary gender role, you know? There's like female.
You know, I'm just going to pause it there. I didn't actually consider that either. Like, for people who are non-binary, it must be awful because to find yourself in the wrong gender role is awful enough. But then to feel like you actually don't belong to, a gender role at all, you know, it must feel very lonely and it's very excluding. I think that they should be more flexible, more open to. They should include everybody. You know, nobody should feel like they don't belong.
As much as the gender roles are hurting by being so constricting, also that constriction is a lot of that is what kind of helped me understand my trans identity. So the roles that are there, I didn't create them, but it exists. It exists. And I don't want it to exist in some of the ways that it does, but it does.
Just going to pause it there really quickly. That's what I mean. It does exist, you know, and that's a fact. It does. The gender roles do exist. So I think that they should be more open and more flexible and include everybody, you know?
Do I believe this should be widened? Yeah. So that's really what I've come to.
Gender reassignment surgery is necessary to be transgender. 3, 2, 1.
A lot of my opinions, in terms of me being transgender, have changed with time. Some of them really drastically. When I first started my transition, like when I first came out and I first told my family and started socially transitioning, first started transitioning with the gender clinic, etc. I didn't look like I do today. I looked like a boy because I was really at the beginning of my transition. I mean, I was getting misgendered all the time. I just had it in my head that it'll stop and I'll be like a proper woman and people will see me as a proper woman when I've had gender reassignment surgery. I had that in my head. You know, you learn things with time. Having the full gender reassignment, which I do want, but it's not going to make me feel any more like a woman than I did before I had it, you know? I do think that the social transition helped me quite a lot, like growing into who I am as a person, figuring out who I am as a person. I feel like that helped me a lot. I guess I can't fully, comment until I've had the reassignment, but I just don't see how it's going to make me feel any more like a woman than I do now, you know? So it's just this question is just a little example of how some of my opinions on myself as a trans woman have changed, over time, and quite drastically too in some respects. So I would say strongly disagree. So I don't feel like gender reassignment is necessary to be transgender.
I'll go slightly here. There we go. But it depends on the person. It very much depends on the person.
100%.
For me, it was kind of important. It was just kind of the finishing step kind of thing. But a lot of people don't need it. The social transitions, the personal transitions and things that are much more important to people than the medical transition. But other people need that as a very important step to start their transition or finish their transition.
I still get asked, like when you had your surgery, do you feel like a woman now? And I was like, not any more than I did last week.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
Dating is difficult for me. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I would say strongly agree. I think I've kind of just gave up on the whole institution of it. If I meet someone in real life and we like each other and things develop naturally, that's kind of what I'm wanting now. Online dating's just a nightmare. And dating in general when you're transgender is a nightmare. The whole, do I tell them I'm transgender? When do I tell them I'm transgender? A lot of people, automatically write you off when they find out you're transgender. And a lot of people fetishize you. I know that a lot of people that are interested in me, it's like they do fetishize, you know, me. I can't say the word. They fetishize. I can't do it. That word. They fetishize me, basically. You know, they'd be happy. What is wrong with me tonight? They'd be happy to sleep with me. But a relationship they wouldn't be down for. And that does make you feel worthless, like you're only good for one thing. But at the same time, I suppose the one positive of being transgender and dating is, you know, you can identify those people straight away and kind of rule them out. You know, if someone genuinely likes you and doesn't care that you're transgender, I think that says a lot about them, that they are confident in who they are. I kind of have been put off from dating, to be fair. But if I do meet someone in person, I just hope that, I don't know, a girl can dream. Anyway, but yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, a lot of people have to label things. It's like, if someone likes me, you know, I've had a lot of people be confused as like, you know, I'm a gay, I'm a this, I'm a that. It's like, no, I'm a woman. It confuses a lot of people. And I think that's due to lack of education and, you know, human beings having to label everything. You know, you label stuff in a supermarket, you don't label people. But anyway, let's see what these people thought.
Dating is very hard. The only kind of people that I attract are people that want to like fetishize trans people. So they'll be like, oh, you're so hot, I want to do this and this and this with you. But then I'm like, oh, but like, let's go out in public. Let's like go to dinner or something. And they're like, ooh, I don't know about all that. Like, I don't want my friends to know I'm dating someone like you. And it's like, they feel like they have to come out as well as someone who's attracted to like a trans person.
I agree. It's confusing for them if they say like, oh, so am I like gay or something like that? And it's like, no, because I am attracted to straight men and like straight men are like attracted to me. Do you know what I mean?
It's a little weird being like not a part of the binary, so people are really like, so what am I? What are you? Like, what is this?
Where do we fit together?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think I like you, but I don't know what I like. What is this? I'm like, if you like, then take, you know?
They just want to like, they want to put like a label on everything.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't need that,
I just think people need to stop with like, oh, I'm attracted to men, or like, oh, this. It's like, no, you're attracted to like a human being. You're attracted to a person.
Yeah.
There are risks to being transgender. 3, 2, 1, go.
Strongly agree. Not only is I think Samantha Lux actually said this as well, not only is the, you know, physical transition, you know, surgeries and stuff dangerous, you know, it comes with risks, but some people just hate transgender people. I've had a lot of bad things happen to me. I do find that a lot of people think they can do whatever they want to a transgender person. It's almost like they believe we don't have the same rights as everybody else, and it's almost like they believe they can do what they want. I have been sexually assaulted before, and you know, like I said, it's almost like they think they can do that because there'll be no consequences, because they almost think it's almost like we're not a person, we're not human. So I've had that happen. I have been attacked before. I've had a lot of bad things happen. So yeah, 100%. There's massive risks to being transgender. I think what would have been worse for me is wasting my life by trying to pretend I'm something I'm not, by trying to live, you know, as a man. I'd take the risks over living a lie any day.
Transitioning is dangerous.
Yeah,
Transitioning
100%.
is not easy. Like, I've been beaten, I've had death threats, I've had sexual assault. Someone threatened me of that. And I'm privileged in this community because of my race, or because I transitioned younger. And the biggest problem is that trans women of color are the ones being murdered in this country. That, like, trans people of color are the ones at risk. And this is the real issue that people need to know about. But like, it is totally worth it, because there's no life outside of this.
That's definitely real. That's real. So the fear of violence from others, yes, that's a risk. But I feel like what's really worth it was my mental health. That's not a risk I'm willing to take, because that's the real death.
I love my body.
For me, this is another question where my opinions on it has changed over time. When I first started my transition, I hated my body. I hated everything about it, especially having, male genitals. I just hated it. I've tried to learn to love myself and with that, my body. And I feel like, as I've transitioned and grown into my looks a bit more and started looking, more female, in my opinion. I mean, you might think I look like a total man, but anyway, I feel like I like myself a lot more. I think do I love my body? I think love's a strong word. I've learned to love who I am as a person, and with that, come to accept my body more. I wouldn't change it now because I'm proud to be transgender, and I'm really glad to be part of the LGBTQ plus community. I feel honoured to be a part of it, because there's some really incredible people there. And there are aspects of my body that I do like, but then again, there are things that I don't like. Of course, having male genitals, it makes my dysphoria very, problematic. But I think what bothers me more than that even is the body hair and the facial hair. I think that is the worst thing. I have days where I do hate that. In fact, I hate it completely. And some days I really struggle with it. I'd say that I somewhat agree. I think that's fair. I somewhat agree.
Yeah, we'll go off for it.
It's just so hard. It's so hard because, being told, women have this, and women look like this, and women, and it's then I don't look like that, so I must hate my body then, because my body is what keeps me from looking like a woman. But then I, get out of that toxic mindset, and I'm just wait, I am a woman. I wish I had said strongly agree, but that's not the truth. And the truth is that I love my mind, I love my life, but there are days that I have where my self-esteem issues are so bad that I can't leave the room. And I almost didn't even go to my college graduation because I was I'm not female enough to.
That's similar to me as well. When I first started my transition, and for so long, afterwards, my anxiety was that bad that I used to be terrified in public places like town and everything. And it got to a point where I used to use alcohol to just to be able to walk out the house. Sometimes I just couldn't leave without drinking some alcohol because I was that scared, which became a problem in itself.
Graduate college or something. And all that being said, I have no regrets. That was the thing. Because if I hadn't transitioned, I just wouldn't have a life at all.
Sometimes I wish I wasn't transgender. 3, 2, 1, go.
My thoughts and how I feel about this particular question has changed over time. When I first realised I was transgender, the feelings I had meant that I was transgender, and and I started my transition and everything. I'd have done anything to not be transgender. I'd have done anything to change it, to just be a proper woman. I would have changed it for anything in a heartbeat. I'm proud to be transgender now, like I said earlier on in this video. I'm part of a beautiful community, a brave community. It's instilled in me a lot of good qualities, like compassion and, understanding other people's, situations and things like that. And I feel like it's made me a kinder person and a more understanding person. And yeah, I wouldn't change it now. Just a really quick message to any people watching who are transgender or think they may be transgender. You may be in a bad place. You may be having a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of gender dysphoria. Things do get better. It happened for me, things got better. My whole outlook on being transgender changed. I do think that my life would have been a lot, easier had I not been transgender. But so I wouldn't say I strongly disagree, but I do disagree.
Literally me, literally. No.
I often have told people that, this is not something I would wish purposefully on my worst enemy. It's not pleasant. You go through all sorts of interesting changes. It cost me my spouse that I love dearly, but it was so important to me that it had to happen that I'm pleased that I did it. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life, but it's also something I'd never wish on anybody else on purpose.
For me, I'm disagreeing because it's not the fact that I'm trans that I don't like. It's the discrimination that I face that I don't like. The intersections that I hold, being black, being trans, you find like discrimination comes at you in different ways. And so that's really what I could do without.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I just like hate, like everyone else is saying, is the discrimination, because it's the fact that like, oh, if I'm in a certain situation, or oh, I'm somewhere, like I have to worry about my safety for like literally being like who I am in that sense.
Obviously, I don't think this will ever like go away fully, but as I was like coming out, it like, I would like have times where I was like, God, I wish I wasn't like this. Like, I wish I wasn't trans, because then like my life would be easier. I wish I was born a woman, or I wish that I was just like comfortable being male. And then I realized that like if I was born a female, like I wouldn't be a part of the LGBTQ community. I wouldn't have gone through the struggles that I have gone through, and like I would be a completely different person, and I love who I am, and so I don't think I would want to change that. And I'm proud to be trans.
These people are incredible, I think. I just think things like this are amazing, and the Jubilee channel is amazing for, giving trans people a platform to voice their opinions on the subject. What I love most is that, not everyone in this group of people agreed. They did have varying opinions, but they respected each other's opinions. There has been times, quite often, where I've had an opinion and then I've discussed with someone else who's had a different opinion, and they've, given me like another way of looking at a situation. And I really like that. I really love that, when that happens, that someone, enlightens you to another side of a situation. And thank you, Samantha Lux, for giving me this video idea. I love your channel, by the way. I doubt you'll see this, but I do love your YouTube channel. I think you're great. Comment down below what your opinions are on the questions that were asked. If you did enjoy this video, it would mean so much to me if you hit that like button, and if you subscribe to my channel. What kind of videos would you guys like to see from me? Would you like to see more of a video I've already done? Would you like to see something else? Give me some of your ideas, what you would like to see, and I'll see what I can do. Be safe and be kind. Bye.